to access to art. We're out on Medicine Lake in Plymouth, Minnesota, where the Soap Factory Gallery is starting today its Art Shanty's project. I'm going to mill around a little bit and look at the things here. Today's first segment, though, is about the Bean Scene, a coffee gallery, very arts-friendly in North Minneapolis, that is located in an old Burger King facility in what was once a notorious gang hangout. But now you can get a latte, ask for fries or melted cheese with it. Oh, I'm not exactly sure. But it's greatly helping a neighborhood in transition.
I think North Minneapolis gets a bad rap when you see it on the news all the time, because you never see any of the good things that happen over north. But there's a lot of wonderful things that happen over north, and a lot of wonderful people. We hope we're one of the leaders in encouraging people to come back to Broadway. The Bean Scene is a espresso, coffee house, internet cafe that opened 3 years ago. We were hoping to create a gathering place for the community, and we wanted it to be a multicultural, multi-economics, multi-age place for everybody to come in, feel comfortable, and enjoy each other. At the Bean Scene, we feature local artists. We have a place on our website where people can apply. But we have, on a regular basis, we have music on Friday nights. Sometimes it's DJ Dap Daddy who's spinning the music, and sometimes we have like a Motown review. It's an old school music night, or else it's all smooth jazz. We have performing art, and we have art that sculptures, wall hangings, photographs. We've had teen poetry slams. Almost you name it, we've had it. We want the Bean Scene to be a destination, not just some place you drive by and say, oh, I need a cup of coffee. We want you to think about. Let me go up and see what's happening at the Bean Scene, because it's the place to be.
Though we've enjoyed a moderate winter so far in Minnesota, luckily it's gotten very cold, so we can also enjoy a sensational event on Medicine Lake in Plymouth put on by Soap Factory Gallery and called the Art Shanty Project. And as you can see in some of the wider shots, there are shanties all over what we hope is a nearly frozen lake. How many do you have involved in this project?
There's about 65 artists involved and about 22 shanties in total.
And the range of media activity, or were there no restrictions? How do they get involved?
Well, we send out a call for entries in late summer, and then artists just submit. Artists and anybody. We try to keep it open to anybody, not just sort of artists. Submit a proposal to us about what they want to do on the lake, and then we have a jury look at them and pick out 20 that actually get stipends. So.
Now we have a shot of David doing the ceremonial pouring of some liquid into what are the restroom facilities here on Medicine Lake. But you have to be serving another function as well. Why are you out here?
I am one of the co-coordinators, but I'm also run K-Ice, which is the radio station that we have here on the ice.
And you'll be broadcasting live throughout the show, or what hours?
Well, it'll be on for most of the time that we're out here, and in a little while I'll walk around with my cooler. That is actually a thing, and interview people live on the radio. So it's K-Ice 97.7 out here on the lake.
Thank you very much. The radical, experimental, I'd say bona fide, crazy Bedlam Theatre in the West Bank neighborhood. They've been there nearly 10 years, and I've been there several times, by the way. These people are past crazy and past avant-garde and experimental, and they're past playful. They're nuts. It's like stepping into a hodgepodge interactive collage where everyone is part of some theatrical masterpiece. It's a magical place, and recently they've relocated to new digs that we're going to look at now, as well as get a glimpse of where they once were.
Even if you came here from a swamp, here within this garish hall, the Bedlam
in Minneapolis. There's the Guthrie Theater, and there's Bedlam Theater, and there's pretty much everything in between. And I really appreciate that at the high end, the Guthrie's new building is expanding the possibilities of Minneapolis as a hub of regional theater. And I think at the other end, pushing the boundaries of imagination and pushing the boundaries of community involvement in high-minded performance art is a really worthy experiment, and I'm proud to be a part of it with the great company that we have at Bedlam.
We're an experimental theater company. We do mostly original work. And while there's other companies that do original work, I think what makes us unique is our combining doing original work with having a community engagement process. An experimental community theater is sort of unique. Oftentimes we don't even need to publicize events. We have lots of word-of-mouth events that totally pack the place, and we didn't put up any flyers or advertise it in any papers.
Leading off tonight's news is a threat that is threateningly hanging over our American way of life.
A threat that is dangling, threateningly dangerous, and shooting fear beams into our eyes.
We all kind of came out of the same collective management system of business and kind of a little radical, radical collective scene in town. We worked together managing a restaurant for a long time, and kind of the rollover to managing a theater company was pretty natural. We liked a lot of the similar types of absurdist theater, and we like to try and, deal with current and political subject matter, and we've got very similar senses of humor.
We did just talk about what do we want, what do we want our next big feature production to be, and in asking that question, we also asked them, what have we appreciated about our work in the past? And it's precisely that it's trying to represent the lives of people who are making non-mainstream choices.
I don't care if it is hot dogs and apple pie or tofu puffs or organic apple strudel. Same American nightmare. They're 35% recycled package. Management conglomerate. Membership requirement. TV dinners, fruit, sweet cone. Cold co-op unquote. Backslash corporate tax.
This year we did a big project sort of investigating our place in the neighborhood and our place in the history of the neighborhood. West Bank Story, it was a musical about this neighborhood.
And the whole project, writing the script with community storytelling and studying neighborhood history, it was a way for us to kind of answer the question for ourselves what it meant to be a part of this neighborhood.
Greetings. Welcome to the meeting. We're gathered here to start this decision-making process. We're certain to determine before this evening's curtain exactly what the neighborhood wants.
We started, going to a lot of neighborhood meetings and just being involved in the business association and the various ways you can be involved in a neighborhood, which we hadn't done before, and we'd always had it as a goal, but sometimes we get stuff done by making a theater project about what it is we want to get done. It was about 2 months after that play that we found out we were going to have to leave the old space, and we just felt like we had spent the last 2 years really investing in understanding what we were doing here and who was around us, and so we're really happy that we're able to continue our relationship with the neighborhood.
All right, this is the entrance to the new Bedlam, under construction. Our expansive new lobby, beer and wine license, and simple food menu to come for your audience pleasure. And then right in here is the performance venue, which you can, is about the same square footage as our entire studio used to be.
The developers who own this building are interested in our work because of the connections that we made during West Bank Story. If it weren't for that project, we wouldn't be here. Well, we've signed a year lease, and it's owned by a developer, Fine & Associates, And they have plans to develop this whole block. And so what the future of this actual building is, we don't know, they don't know. We'll see if it's possible for us to stay here longer than a year, but right now we don't know. So we're just making the most of 2007.
Once again, as I said, there's been a lot of good times in these walls. And you'll notice throughout the evening a theme of nostalgia, a theme of looking back.
Romp is a cabaret with a party-like atmosphere. And they're part curated and they're part open mic. They're so fun. People just have a blast. We've been doing them since 1998, and they were a very unique event in that space. And while we will try to do something similar here, we really wanted to mark the last one in that space because we know that it's going to change somewhat. So the last Romp was, in some ways, the end of an era.
Bedlam has been a place where I've gotten to do a lot, and I've gotten to be many different characters, many different situations. Molly Ringwald, Kate Winslet, Tina Turner. I get to pretend to be a star all the time. And so this one's for me.
Right now I have a really strong vision of this next year, and beyond that is still a little bit unclear. We could go in a number of different directions, and we need to kind of do some visioning work and figure out where it is that we want to go.
One of the things we're calling this is that 2007 will be a year on the line for Bedlam Theatre. We're very excited to be right here as the Cedar Riverside Light Rail stop with our building. So go ahead, take the train, get off at Bedlam.
Significance for me is that I'm 36 now, and I was 26 when we moved in there. So I'm different, I'm older, and it has been largely the same crew since we moved in there.
We grant you 3 wishes. Wish number 1 for yourself. Wish number 2 for Bedlam. Number 3, the future of the world.
It feels like we're starting over, but we have this huge, huge resource, which is the last 10 years. That's what it feels like.
1, 2, 3.
This is our second year out here on the lake, and we're also doing our charity knitting this year, which is Afghans for Afghans. So we're working on 7 by 7 inch squares that we're going to collect and sew together and send in blankets to Afghanistan.
MacPhail Center for Music is a 94-year-old nonprofit based in Minneapolis and having 45 satellite musical educational components. They're dedicated to music education for all. We're going to look at Whittier International Elementary School students as they take part in a program called Community Partnership, which brings music education to over 3,000 students a year.
Good. Hey, that was nice. Let's try that again. Okay, now you know where the skip is. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
My name is Brent Weaver, and I'm a music teacher at MacPhail. I've been here 10 years, started in '96. I just really enjoy doing it. I have a lot of fun teaching. I love learning myself, and I love sharing that knowledge with others. And it's really great to see my students grow, especially some of the kids that, you know, can't afford lessons. I really like providing music lessons and music theory and information, and learning how to read music to those kids that can really benefit from what I know.
We're going to clap this using rhythm names. Ready? Go.
And in my musicianship class for Whittier School, and those are piano and violin students, and I'm just reinforcing their reading skills. So we were working with rhythm, and in that class I was reviewing the rhythmic concepts that I taught last semester, quarter note, eighth note, half note, dotted half note, whole note, and rest, and different meters, 2/4, 3/4, and I just introduced 4/4. So we were just clapping rhythms with them. And in that class, the kids really understand how to write it down on paper, but performing it is another thing. So we're just working on another level of that. Okay, good. Okay, so how about 4/4? Let's do
McPhail has been around for 99 years now and located in the downtown location for 85 of those years. We've been operating as a nonprofit organization with our mission being to transform lives through music education. With that mission in mind, we serve 7,200 students on an annual basis. The core programs that McPhail has include our early childhood arts program, and the age range for that in a very unique curriculum is 6 weeks old up to about 8 years old in a sequential curriculum. And also within the individual instruction program, you can be any age and you can study almost any style of music that's out there, from folk to rock to country to classical music. You can find that all here at McPhail.
2, 3, 4. All right, very nice. Just don't rush those half notes. Okay, you ready? I'm going to play the duet part with you this time. Okay, so straight through from the beginning. And just count out those half notes carefully, because I won't always be moving at the same rate. Okay, so sometimes I might have more or less notes than you. So you just keep counting. Okay, beginning. 2, 3, 4. 2, E, D, 2, 3, 4. Second line.
New to McPhail is a music therapy program, and through our music therapy program we work with students who have developmental and cognitive disabilities and bring the power of music to students that can help shape learning in many ways, can help with training students for ways to use and manipulate their fine motor and gross motor skills. There's many, many amazing stories in the music therapy program, students singing for the first time who never spoke before. It's hard to fathom almost what the power, I mean, we don't completely understand it. There's some power there with music and the ability to create music, create sound, expression that just opens up possibilities that aren't there otherwise.
Okay, Kayla, what did I say about counting your beats? How long are these notes?
2.
And how long are my notes?
1.
1. So I'm moving faster than you, so you can't change at the same time I do. You have to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's do the second line one more time.
Good. Now, we'll get to playing this in just a second. What I'd like to start with is let's tap the rhythm. So, you count with me. We're going to count 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we're going to tap the pencils up here, okay? Let's just try the first 2 measures. Ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1.
I am a piano teacher. That means I do private lessons and I do group classes. We have 6 kids at a time in the 2nd grade classes that come in for piano class every week. I've been working at McPhail since July of 2000, and I've been teaching in the Whittier program since October of 2000. I feel strongly that the work we do with the community partnerships is some of the best work that you get to do at McPhail. And it's just really remarkable to be their teacher and to watch them grow from little 2nd graders who kind of want to play the piano but really have no idea what that means, and then to have them stick through it all the way till 5th grade and see what they can do, and just to know that they wouldn't have been able to do that without this program. I don't expect any of them to make music a career, but it's just nice to know that they've been exposed to something that can enrich their lives for the rest of their lives.
Ready, set, go.
3 ta 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 3 ta ta ti ti ta ti ti 2 2 ta 2 ta 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 2.
Good. We're done. Okay? See you guys next week.
Hey, we're in the shanty of Misfit Toys on frozen Medicine Lake in Plymouth for the opening of the Art Shanty Project. And tell us why you're here and what you're doing.
Well, we've collected toys from thrift stores and toy factories, and so we stuffed the walls and reusing them as insulation. And then when the project's done, we're going to donate all the toys to orphanages. Yep.
Now this gentleman is one of the art car, he was going to be a chauffeur to the shanties out on the lake, but you're not able to.
Yeah, they won't allow the cars on the lake until the ice is thick enough.
Gallery 13 on 13th Avenue Northeast, which is known as the Arts Avenue, recently featured a show by Alexandra Rosenman, a Russian immigrant and teacher, who does very surreal drawings and playful paintings, and we're going to take a look at her work now.
We are at Gallery 13 on 13th Avenue / the Arts Avenue in Northeast Minneapolis. We tend to show what we like ourselves.
I call this show Free Verse, thinking that those narrative paintings of mine, each one in a way is telling a story.
We show work that we find is compelling, and we felt that her work has a very, very edgy and interesting nature to it.
I usually work on very large pieces or very small pieces. When piece is large, for me, I create a space in which the viewer can enter, and there are all those different things happening inside the painting. When the painting is really small, it almost can be translated as a sentence from another story or just a thought. I call my work nostalgic fairy tale. So the word nostalgic, I have a right to use the word nostalgic being an immigrant, but I like nostalgia as something that I like missing. Not as something that makes me upset or brings me down, but something that I like missing, something positive. And very often it happens in symbols or just I remember one particular place. I came to America with my parents. I actually didn't want to come here. I wasn't sure what I want when it happened. I was just right after high school. Russia was a very interesting point at that time. It was the glasnost time, and everything was slowly getting loose. It was really fun. When I moved to the States, I found out that I can't waitress, so teaching was my only bread and butter since I came here. My favorite class to teach is my class that I invented. It's called Can I Paint Like That? And I promise people that they can make a forgery in about 10 classes, which is a lie. What happens is that if people know artists or a kind of art or maybe even one particular piece of art that they really like, it's a class about figuring out why is it that they like it and how can they use it. Then usually what it is that we mix all those things together and we come up with an interesting painting because we learn from the masters.
And we're here to work with and promote the artists and to provide artists with a formal space in which they can present their work. We're here to help the artists promote themselves and also to tell the public about the artist and say things about the artist that sometimes the artists can't say about themselves.
Very often at the end I translate the image to myself. This painting is called Can You Be a Goalkeeper? So it was a pumpkin field. It all got covered with water, and those 5 brothers came to the field to play soccer, but because there was so much water, they couldn't do it. Then that goalkeeper explained to them that there is no use to play that day because there is so much water. Sometimes I start with writing and do something and make a sketch, and then it goes back and forth sometimes.
We like the storytelling that's in her work. We like the color.
I think that my drawings for today are my strongest work, and I think that I reached in them what I exactly want my piece of art to be.
A lot of people feel they do not understand art. They feel they have to know something about art before they can purchase a piece of work for their home or office. And sometimes it's just a matter of having a little talk with the artist and realizing that really it's just about one individual having an interest and being able to express that interest visually. We're kind of a community-oriented space, and we'd like to make it more so, and it will become more so as we grow and learn the ropes ourselves. We're here to aid and abet the art world and make sure that people understand, that art is for everyone.
Thus be it ever that free men shall stand, and hopefully on solid ice. The crew is ready to go get a few toes amputated from here, frigid Lake Medicine in Plymouth. We're going to wrap up this episode of Access to Art in front of what I think is a very astonishing arachnid-looking non-shanty without any walls at all. But if you come out here, and you can until mid-February, there's an Art Shanty post office, there's a coffee shop, and of course we saw the Misfit toys, and we saw the knitters, and there are several others that are just getting finished and will be on display. We encourage you, as always, to take part in art. If you have to be an enabler in this lifetime, enable the artist and become one yourself. There's a lot going on in Minneapolis, and thanks a lot for coming. I am too cold to talk anymore. See you next time on MTN's Access to Art, Tuesday nights at 8:30 on Channel 17.
On-site sanitation donated the guts for the new shanty bathroom.
Very nice. So this is actually an interactive performance facility and not necessarily...
Yes. And everyone rehearses every day, several times a day.
And they should. Oh, that's nice.
The first roll. And you need to have the roll on the top.
Yeah, thank you.
Was that a committee decision? I better put it there. I could do that turn and smile at everybody. Blah, 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 blah.